friends. Welcome to the Seek Holy Living podcast with Krista Svoboda. I am a wife to my wonderful husband, mom to my 5 precious children, and a friend to some amazing moms that I can't wait to introduce to you. Mothering is not a journey meant to be traveled alone. Join me every Monday for a new podcast where you will find hope, joy, and purpose. Getting out of the house and into nature breathes new life into your heart and into the hearts of your children. On today's podcast, we will talk about how to nature adventure with your children. Now, I know that for some moms, the idea of taking your children into the great outdoors might seem a bit overwhelming. So joining us today are 2 of my adventure-loving friends, Aimee Nielson and Wendy Tung, to discuss the how and the whys of nature adventuring. Aimee has 4 children, ranging in ages from 3 to 12 years old, and Wendy has 2 who are 8 and 10 years old. After today, you will be motivated and empowered to get your family outside, enjoying God's creation while building lasting memories and new skills for you and your kids. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to have so much fun with this conversation. Wendy, I'm so glad you could be here with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I am excited to share.
And Aimee, you are a master of nature adventures, so thank you.
You're so sweet. I'm so thankful to be here. Thank you for asking me.
You're welcome. It's going to be fun. Okay, so nature adventure days, we all love them, and it's so fun because while we live in the same general vicinity, we don't actually nature adventure together. We're not super close, and we both have different groups of friends or people who we do our own nature days with. So what does a nature adventure look like for you guys, Wendy?
A lot depends on the weather for us. In the winter, we tend to go to places that would be blazing hot in the summer. And in the summer, we tend to do a lot of water, beach, rivers, cooler mountain areas. We try to look at the weather and make sure that we're not going to be miserable while we're doing our activity, although sometimes misery makes for a good story.
It does. It grows character. It is character building.
Yes.
It's funny you'd mention that too, because when this is going to be airing, we'll be going into fall, which for us, we're in Southern California. So we really only have like a window of time that we can't do outdoor things or that it's like really weather prohibitive. But for people in like other places of the nation or even in the world, you know, if fall means a very different thing than fall does for us in Southern California.
Right.
And so I think that you're right, considering the weather and how are you going to prepare yourself well for what you're going to do.
Sure, we want it to be successful.
Yeah. But days outside.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Occasionally, it might mean a museum or some other type of learning, nature-related activity, but generally, we like being outside the best.
That's great. And Aimee, what does a nature day look like for your family?
Well, ours are very similar to Wendy's, and we do them weekly.
Okay.
And during the week, it's part of our school. And we get out in the beach and the shade when it's hot and enjoy the nice, not so shaded trails during the winter when it's a little cooler. And in years past, we've done museums when there's a free day. But, you know, right now we don't have museums on the schedule.
Right, because we're in the middle of the coronavirus still right now, and this is being filmed. So what does it look like for your family? Do you do nature adventures as just a family unit or with a group or with another family? What about you guys, Wendy?
I would say it's about half and half. Usually, maybe slightly skewed, actually, maybe 30-70. About 70% of the time, I would say it's just myself and the kids, and then the other 30 with a friend. Right now, we mostly are just hiking, adventuring, beaching with one other friend because of the coronavirus. But we do a lot, just our immediate family, just because I know what their schedule is and I can take them with me without having to coordinate with anyone else. Yeah. And we really love it. It makes the rest of the day so much better. And even the time before we go, the anticipation of going.
Yes.
Also, it's amazing how much more quickly math and piano can be completed when they know that's what needs to be done before we head out the door. It's amazing.
For sure. And what about you, Aimee? Do you guys do your adventures on your own or with other people?
So we do meet in a group. We have probably 3 to 6, 7 other families that
Wow.
generally join us. And yeah, we enjoy that time so much. We do adventure as a family a lot, though, and try to go camping often and hiking as a family as well. But our weekly schedule is with a group.
Wow, that's so special. So we do monthly nature adventures with another family. And I have actually wondered, so I'll pick your brain on this for a minute. I like doing it with another family for a couple of reasons. I've liked that having little children, because our children aren't all the same ages. And so when I have a younger one who needs a little extra help, that maybe the other mom doesn't have a younger one who needs the help at that same time. So they're helpful. And the kids have the relationship time together, which is fun. The bonding that's formed there is so special. But also the accountability that if I have it on the calendar that we're going to be going to a trail on this Monday with these people, I'm not going to cancel on it just because I decide, oh, you know what, our house is a mess. Because I told them that we were going to meet them at that trail. So I'm going to keep that commitment. Whereas if it was just me and my kids, I might be more apt to say, oh, we're just going to change our plans. But it kind of keeps me more accountable. But okay, so my question for you is, having a lot of families, one thing I've been a little concerned about having a lot of people together is thinking I'm having my 5th child here in early November is when he's coming. And so I have a lot of people to watch when we're on nature adventures, which if it's a small something, no big deal. But if we're going on like a big trail, it does concern me a little bit. Like, how do I make sure that my eyes are on all the people when then there's like so many families of people? How do you guys do that?
So the blessing of it is that we're all dear friends. So we've kind of just had this mentality of helping each other out. And I've been so thankful for those teenage girls
that
have helped me with my toddlers, especially when I've got a baby. And my older 2 having friends, and just kind of already I know, okay, so-and-so's with this person, so-and-so's with this person. And the teenage girls are, oh, Mrs. Nielson will help you out. And it is the sweetest thing. And my kids have definitely grown in their relationship. And I love that there's not, with homeschooling, there's no age
Separation.
Yes.
It's just all one big, beautiful group.
Yeah.
So that's been wonderful.
That is a really special thing. It's more like a family time.
Yes.
Which is neat. That's awesome. Okay. Have you always loved nature days even before you had kids, or did it take you having kids to get you out in nature, Aimee?
Oh, I've actually really always loved being out in nature, but it took having kids to it really opened my eyes to see the benefits of it and the beauty of it. Definitely.
Yeah. Always loved it.
Yeah.
What about you, Wendy?
Yeah,
Always been an outside lover?
I've always loved being outside. I think I was up in a tree more than anywhere else in childhood. And I know I've especially been drawn to it as a parent because with my son, I feel like the benefits of him being outside are just so immediately visible.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Talk about some of these benefits.
Well, I feel like, as much as boys and girls have a lot of similarities, there is some truth to them being very different as well. And my son is just a happier boy when he's had a really good sweat, and especially if he can like pound into something and climb something, and even better if there's another boy that he can run into and wrestle around with. I mean, it's very different than my girl. My girl can do those things, but she doesn't find energy and joy from those things. It's usually, okay, because I love my brother, we will do this. But, with my son, it's a whole nother ball of wax. He is just such a happier boy when he's had a good sweat and when he's had a couple hours of really huffing and puffing and and just the character that comes from that. He's nearly 10, and when we're out on a trail, I've seen him grow so much as a person where when I'm carrying something heavy, he's like, Mom, I got that. You don't need to carry that. And he'll load himself up. He'll take his sister's stuff. I mean, he just becomes, he's a nice boy anyway, but he becomes a wonderful boy,
Wow.
Yeah. And I think there's just something to having that physical exertion that helps ground him in a way that's very, very even God honoring and family honoring.
It's like it's turning him into a young man as opposed to just this accepted boys will be boys.
Exactly. That doesn't fly. And I want him to be a gentleman, and I want him to be courteous, and I don't want chivalry to be dead. You know, I want to raise strong girls, yes, but I also want boys that are willing to help and look out for those around them. Not just look out for girls, but look out for their friends that are younger, and the whole homeschooling mentality too of if someone's smaller than you, you help them up, or someone's not as strong as you, you help them. And when you're out on a trail, or you're climbing, or you're doing any sort of physical activity, those opportunities come in spades. So it's a great way to provide those opportunities in a way that leaves good memories too. It's not just sterile instructions from mom.
It's not arbitrary.
No.
And you can't plan either. These are the lessons we're going to learn today. Is perseverance. Or today we're going to be working really hard on
self-sacrifice.
Yes. No, you can't plan those things.
No, you cannot. And it's just such a helpful time to even packing their own, you know, they each have a backpack, and you ration out how much water you're going to drink. If you're really thirsty right now, well, that's fine, but you're not going to have any water for the return trip. So, you know, think about it. Think about it. So there's a lot of great life lessons that come from being out on the trail, in addition to the physical exercise, which is really beneficial too.
You mentioned the backpacks, like getting ready. That's another benefit that I didn't know ahead of time was going to be a benefit, but watching that everyone has one of the things I've learned over the years of doing this that's been helpful for us, especially with little children, is we have a backpack for each person that we save only for nature days. And they all go in the same space. So then when it is a nature day, those backpacks all come out, and you know what things you want to put in them. And I didn't buy big backpacks. That's the other thing. I bought like smaller to medium sized ones, and I'll put a link for those because I actually think it was really helpful to contain the space of what they can bring, and that it's enough for a sweater and a water bottle, a nature journal, so they can have something to sketch in if we decide to stop and sketch something cool that we find, some colored pencils, and the start of their lunch. A part of their lunch all goes in there too. But being able to help them know you can fill this with your things, and then you're going to carry it. And there's responsibility and pride in that, and it's special, and that's a good skill.
It's a wonderful skill. I know a lot of adults that could use that skill.
Yes. Aimee, what are some of the benefits you guys see?
Oh, well, I love like teaching about our Creator and then being out in creation. That has been one of the biggest reasons to be started, that we started doing it, but also to see them grow in their love for things that are beautiful and see the intricacies of our Creator through that, and asking questions and wanting to know more. And that has been wonderful. I've also just loved the relationships with my children and having these memories of things that we've done together, as well as with the other families, our dear friends, and just growing in these things. It's been a blessing. And also just to take a break from our regular routine.
Yeah, it's very life-giving.
A break from school. It has been wonderful.
I feel like we function better after having that time. It's like it's invigorating, and sometimes it takes so much work to get out that I kind of think, like, even on our way sometimes, you're just like, oh, this has been so frustrating this morning for whatever reasons. It's like the cards are just stacked against you sometimes on those days when you're trying to do something fun. But then once we're there and we have the time, I have never ever said, oh, we really shouldn't have gone. I should have thrown in the towel.
It's always worth it. And to piggyback off of your backpacks, I love Camelbacks, and it doesn't even have to be that brand, but the ones with the water bladders, and that's been super helpful. All my kids since a very wee age have had their own and carry their own. Even my 3-year-old, his is just a bladder, but he's got to stuff his snacks in there. And the space, like one kid helps get the snacks, one kid helps fill the water bladders, so just everyone helps and pitches in, and it's not just all on mom.
Right.
Also, but we're going to do it, and the kids help pack the car, and they're excited to go. So,
and that's empowering for them. And my 5-year-old smiled so big the first time that I said, okay, you're big enough now. It's your job to get to fill our water bottles. And she said, I can do that. And I said, you can. And she lined them all up and she was so proud. And it's just filling water bottles, but it needs to be done. And she could do it. And that's such a wonderful skill.
Yes.
I love it for them to just feel good about themselves in that way. Okay, so what about if weather's an issue? So if weather's an issue, places in the country where I lived on the East Coast for a couple years when I was a child. And we could go out and play in the snow, but you can only do that so many days. And it only equals fun nature so many times for the mom. My brother and I would go out as often as we could and be out in the snow. But for an actual nature adventure day, let's talk about some options if there's a day or you're living in a place where you just can't do the outside things. What are some other alternatives that you guys enjoy?
I think museums. Right now, a lot of museums are closed because of the coronavirus. I think almost all the museums here are. But in normal circumstances, even if maybe a child might be slightly, allergies or whatever, for whatever reason that we're not going to go on our typical outside, long outside adventure, a time in a great museum is really fun. And oftentimes they even have outdoor elements within those museums. They might have a butterfly exhibit. They might have an aquarium with a touch tank. There's a lot of great museums, and typically, at least here in Southern California, a lot of them are free. And so knowing, what to do, where to go, even art museums, I think starting off in small doses is good for those things too, depending upon the ages of your children.
Yes.
When my children were really little, if we would go to an art museum, we would try to do a scavenger hunt. Here's this painting. We've read about this painting, Blue Boy or Pinky.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to find Blue Boy and Pinky. And the enthusiasm of those children when they found Blue Boy and Pinky was great. And that's all we needed to do for little's age. And they were excited.
But it's
and
giving them,
it.
I've heard someone say you're creating their appetite, that you create the appetite of the things that they're going to love. And so by giving them even just a taste at an early age, which it can feel scary. I remember taking my kids actually to the same one because those are at the Huntington Library. And when we went walking in, getting some eyes from people that looked like, who are you bringing in? And I just held my head so high and thought, you just watch me. Here we go. And we did. We had to talk about ahead of time. How do we act? We're not going to touch things. What kind of a voice do we use when we go in here? How do we be respectful of this? And I promise you, it did not come without reminders. There were so many stops of having to get down to their level. And hey, remember, this is not a time to play real silly. This is a time to be calm and respectful. And they came back. But also I feel like those kinds of spaces for me, especially when my children are young, I find more successful alone with my children. Because if they're with friends, which I've heard people say, but it's a field trip. I wouldn't do that with kids.
It's a roving party.
Yeah, because then they're just excited to be with their people. And I want for them to be able to take in for this short taste of a time, the things around us that require a little bit more civilized choices.
Yes. Exactly.
What are some other ideas, Aimee, for days that weather might get in the way?
I have a couple ideas.
Yeah.
We love to nature journal. And
so what does that mean
try to
someone who's never nature journaled?
So when we're out on our hike or walk, we try to find something that we can connect with, either something that we saw, whether it's an animal or we found some flowers, but then we look it up in our field guide usually, or take a picture of it and try to identify it. And then we have a notebook that's usually like a mixed media type paper notebook, nothing too huge.
Just like a sketchbook.
Yeah, sketchbook. Yeah. And either watercolor pencils, colored pencils, watercolor paints. And we try to paint it in there and write the date and make a connection with that place and seeing, to show my kids even more like God made this. And so learning, watching some videos or sometimes we've done as a group, even watching a nature journal video has been really helpful. John Muir Laws has fabulous, he's written some amazing books. But
I'll put the link to his website because he has a lot of great videos for free.
And right now he has a free download book on nature journaling. So that's helpful. we've done that. And then also things that you could do on your own as a family is Insect Lore has great things like buying the caterpillars that you can buy, like, I think you get 6 in a cup and do that whole thing. Or you can get an ant farm.
We did owl pellets last week when we had a day that we were supposed to be outside, but there were so many fires out here where we live, so we had to cancel it. And it was so funny because I had bought them actually last year, and so the friends who we were supposed to nature or adventure with that day, I said, well, I have owl pellets. And they were like, what? Where did you get owl pellets? Like Amazon, you just buy them.
Yes.
And the kids loved it, and they wanted to keep like the skulls that they had found in the things. And I also think we as moms set the tones for all those things because when I'm telling them, I explained to them what an owl pellet was, and I read about it and how cool this is that we get to study this. None of the kids said, ew, that's so gross, because I set the tone.
Yes.
That this is a really neat thing that we get to discover what they ate, and here's how we're going to discover it, guys. So we set the tone for all of those things.
That is so true. There is a local botanical gardens that has palm trees that underneath you can find, no doubt, all kinds of owl pellets and stuff. And my kids think that is the coolest thing. But you're right. We set the tone as the mom.
Yeah.
If we freaked out about all the dirt, then they would freak out.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so let's give some encouragement to the mom who wants to try, but maybe never has. So why don't you still have kids that are a little younger, Aimee, more so than Wendy? So why don't you start with kids who are younger? What encouragement would you give to the mom who has younger kids, but who's like, okay, my kids are too little. I can't do this.
Oh, no. Just put a backup pair of clothes and shoes in the car.
I didn't know that. When I started, you're right. That's so important.
Always.
And then you don't stress about, because my kids were and are notorious for getting in the creek.
Yeah.
And some of those creeks smell. So that would have been crazy, right?
Right.
Had they gotten in the car. That always just have snacks, food. Food makes everything easier.
I heard a piece of advice that you should have keeping a snack for the walk back.
Yes.
And not giving it until you know. If you know there's a hill on the way back, waiting until you get to the bottom of that hill and then telling them, okay, here's your chance that we're going to have this treat for the walk back. And while you're enjoying the good taste of this treat, let's remember how thankful we are for strong bodies that can go up this hill. I thought, oh my goodness, how brilliant.
Yes. Well, and if you have a 3 or younger, bringing an ergo or a backpack, I mean, especially that walk back, they're tired. They just want to be held, but put it on, strap them on, give your back a break, and it goes so fast. They get so big so fast. Just carry them.
Okay, and Wendy, what if someone has big kids and they've never done this and they're afraid their kids are going to be like, it's going to be tiring, Mom. What would you tell them?
I know. I'd say suck it up. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it.
We're doing it. Get in the car.
We're doing it. Yeah. You know, this is what our family does. And if you don't enjoy it after the fact, you tell me and we'll reconsider. Or often what my son and my daughter now, they're big enough that they enjoy looking through different field guides and different books about Southern California or California and picking out places. And I let them pick out places now because they're old enough. And that also causes a lot of investment where they're building up the excitement and just the pride of saying, I picked out this hike.
It's a great idea.
I picked out this beach and this is why. And it's a game changer. When they're invested, they feel like ownership of it and they are already excited before we even get there because you know, how many kids, most of the time kids are just along for the ride, especially mine, you know, this is what Mom likes to do. So this is what you are going to like to do, which is good many times. But as they get older, we want them to grow in their maturity and their decision making. And when they have to decipher, when they look through 100 trails, they have to decide, okay, what is it about this trail that I think will work? Is it the right length? Does it have water? Is it rocky? Can little sis handle it? Can Mom handle it? You know? Is this a hike we can invite our friends to? Or are there steep drop-offs? You know, you were asking about a particular hike we did, and I'm like, well, there is a cliff on one side. So I might be a little wary of...
With small children.
With small children,
right.
You know. But then as an almost 10-year-old, he can read that book and he can decide if that's a good fit. And it's a great way to let them be excited about the the hike, discover something new, and it prepares them so much for adulthood. And just, life, I want them to see life as an adventure. Yeah. And life has difficulties, and there's going to be boulders on this path, and we will be able to climb over them. You can overcome this, but be prepared and just know this isn't all of life, but there's great things and great adventures out there. Just embrace it and go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love the idea of empowering them to be part of the choices too. So thank you guys so much. This is so fun. Maybe we should all pick a day and the three of us could go on a nature adventure together.
That would be
pick
so
one out
fun.
with all of our kids. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nature adventures can take so many forms based on your location, weather, children's ages, physical abilities. Truly, everyone can nature adventure with their children. So what are you waiting for? If you need a location, ask your community of friends to recommend a good age-appropriate nature walk. You would be surprised how many people love to talk about their favorite nature spots. Or you can just do a simple internet search and find a nice trail. Does bringing all the stuff still feel a little overwhelming? Make it simple. Schedule a 2-hour time to be outside in between meals. Or just make your lunch super simple. Instead of pre-making a million sandwiches, just pack some sandwich meat, cheese, crackers, and fruit or veggie and call it lunch. And have your kids fill their water bottles the night before if they can. Anything that can be ready ahead of time makes getting out of the house the next day so much easier. Or, if weather is a problem, bring your nature adventure inside. Take one of the ideas we just talked about and just get out of the house. Take a break from the day-to-day and go somewhere to be surrounded with beauty and adventure. If nature adventuring sounds like it would bless your family, be intentional and put it on the calendar. If you need the accountability like I do at times, invite a friend to go with you so you can't change your plans. Choosing the right friends to go with you and with your children will make the day so fun and life-giving. Now, I realize that I may sound a bit like Miss Frizzle today. Take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. But really, do it! And share that adventure in the comments section below or on social media. I cannot wait to see what you come up with and how it blesses your children. And finally, don't forget to check the blog this week at seekholyliving.com for some more nature adventure tips that you can use and share with your friends. Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss any of our weekly conversations. And check out our show notes below, where I have links to the resources mentioned on the podcast. I release a new podcast every Monday and additional content at seekholyliving.com, including a video of this conversation and a deeper dive into all things mom. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Seek Holy Living for more fun and conversation. If this was an encouragement to you, please share it with your friends. Join us next week when we share life-giving family traditions.